This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Check. Hey, welcome on to the First Alert Weather Breakdown today. Hi, I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason. Thanks for watching our First Alert Weather Breakdown. That was my mic check earlier, but hey, I thought I'd spice it up and start anew here for the day today. Welcome on. It's Thursday. It's First Alert Weather Breakdown time again. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason here in a little podcast center. Hopefully you've had a good Thursday. We've started out with a better note, a whole lot more sunshine, a whole lot more blue skies, a whole lot less rain so far this morning. I will say that's not going to last. We've even seen a few stray showers within the last 2 to 3 hours in the northern edge of the ArkLaTex. We'll look at that current radar here in just a little bit, but rain and heat. That's pretty much the two things defining our forecast here over the next several days. It does get a little cooler later on, but rain, and more rain, and it starts out with a lot of heat that builds in for today. So that's the gist of our forecast here for the day. And on top of that, we're also going to be going over, for our exclusive content today, a check at our river levels in the ArkLaTex. Obviously, we continue to monitor above average precipitation so far this year. And thankfully, I will say we've had a little bit of a break, especially in terms of how much rainfall we've gotten out of our recent storms, which hasn't been too much. But again, we're supposed to get more within the next, several days, almost each and every day here for at least some portion of the ArkLaTex. So we'll check out that full forecast here for you right now. Again, thanks for joining us. We've got lots of storm coverage to get to, still a lot of rain to whoop through, so to speak. So let's hop on straight into it, shall we? Here into the First Alert Weather Breakdown as I'm loading my graphics and also maybe loading my brain a little bit here. As always said, there's an energy drink in the corner. I might drink that during the break. But the point is, hey, I'm with you guys here today. Let's get through this. All right. Forecast time. Window World Skycam in Texarkana. I will say, earlier today, this looked completely clear. We do have a little bit of cloud cover around here now, which I wouldn't say is worrisome, but this is already kind of signifying a increase in moisture across this area here in the northern half of the ArkLaTex, and that could trigger on more rain showers later on this afternoon. So watch out for that for your morning planning for the rest of the morning, that is. Temperatures, we'll get to those in just a moment, but the highs are building with lots of sunshine here throughout the day today, thankfully. Here is a look at our setup of what we are dealing with before we talk about currents. We have cold fronts, which are now mainly located right, if I can use my pointer here, the cold fronts are now kind of right with this cluster of storms right here going from Cincinnati through Cookeville. And again, we have another cold front right now, which is going through McAllister and right through the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. But you can kind of see on the loop, especially with this system in particular as well, it's losing its moisture as it tries to go eastward towards the ArkLaTex. But the problem is we have so many rounds of these cold fronts continuing to go this way, eastward, essentially. And the fact that we're not picking up any massive high-pressure systems is kind of worrisome because, again, it doesn't give us a substantial break from the rain at all. We have these continuous rounds of moisture not just coming across the ArkLaTex, but just coming across the United States in general to make it a soaked forecast with lots of humidity and lots of heat. So let's talk temperatures first because we are building in lots of heat with that wind coming out of the south, coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. Again, that's not picking up just moisture, but it's picking up on lots of humidity and heat. I mean, look at the temperatures right now. It's already 88 in Shreveport, 86 in Texarkana, and it's at 10:30. Keep in mind, these are just your actual temperatures. Your feels-like temperatures for the moment, mid-90s. The only exception to that is closer to that cold front. Mount Pleasant, Idabel, temperatures there are only feeling like they're in the upper 70s, actually. Feels like temperature, oh my goodness, 103 in Bienville already? Guys, it's early June. Calm down. My goodness. All right, anyways, feels like temperatures here for the rest of the day. You get the point, though. I mean, it's going to be skyrocketing here for this afternoon. Feels like temperatures are going to be up potentially into the triple digits here later on today. Take a little slight break, obviously, from that again to tomorrow morning. But the morning temperatures about the same as what you've been waking up to for the past couple of mornings. Low to mid 70s here for the most part. That goes nowhere into tomorrow and into the weekend as well. And then back up to feels like temperatures will have in the low 100s. Yes, low 100s. Again, that trend starts today, and it carries on at least for the next 4 days or so before even thinking about cooling off. Behind a cold front that'll finally hit us. But we have to get to that point. Unfortunately, we just kind of have rounds of storms that hit us. But the actual cold front doesn't come on through, unfortunately, though. So here's the first alert check of your Doppler radar. We are noticing, again, just a stray pop-up cell or two. And right now, one of those, although very, very tiny, is out just on the south side of Prescott as well. These storms are just formed and are continuing to move eastward as they do so. But this kind of just goes to show you the lingo here for today. This morning, just a stray few showers. Again, some more of these could form definitely here once we get into this afternoon. You're already seeing a swath of rain moving eastward. And as we kind of just discussed on the satellite, this is weakening, but it's a system that could still roll into the edge of the ArkLaTex here as we carry on later. So right now that system moving into the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area, but as, again, we get into the afternoon, if that cluster of storms does survive, it could give us a little bit of rain here for the day today. So let's check out our latest future track. So a few pop-up showers are possible for this afternoon, but not likely. I think most of us stay dry here throughout your Thursday. Then heading on into tonight and into tomorrow morning, still a good amount of cloud cover rolling on by, and maybe a few pop-up storms that form in the northern edge of the region here. Really, at any point of the day here for your Friday, that could give us a slim chance of severe weather threats that we'll go over here in just a moment. Meanwhile, Saturday, kind of the same lingo. We have most of these scattered storms, again, just continuing to roll off to the northern edge of the region here for the most part. And it looks like it starts out that way here for Saturday morning. But then once we get into Saturday night, we form a batch of scattered storms in the northern end of the region that's going to really work its way southward into the ArkLaTex late night Saturday into first thing in the morning on Sunday. That looks like a potent, widespread stormy threat here for your Sunday, specifically in the morning hours. So watch out on the way to church and to Mass. Now let's go over some of the specifics with these storms. We are under a severe weather risk in portions of the ArkLaTex here each out of the next 3 days. It technically includes today, but it's only a slim marginal risk for areas like the Queen and Idabel, and that's it. That's the point, though, that I also want to get across, is that any storms that form in the ArkLaTex form just a stray pop-up cell are not likely to contain any severe weather threats. Overall, though, you'll find the trend of severe weather growing, not being too concerning enough for, I'd probably say, to promote a first alert weather day, but we do have a slight risk that has been shifted southward since the last update to include areas of Texarkana and the I-30 corridor for the most part. That slim marginal risk goes as far south as the I-20 corridor, and just the very edge of it reaches down towards Shreveport and Bossier. But then once you get into Saturday, that's when that slight risk grows even more. Again, those storms have a risk of moving farther southward and move towards the I-20 corridor. So essentially the entire northern half of the ArkLaTex is under a slight risk of severe weather here for your Saturday, with the southern half still now getting under their first risk of the next 3 days, and they will be under a slim marginal risk down towards Nacogdoches and Natchitoches. Now, we'll add to this, the severe weather threat is not tornadoes. I'm not really expecting anything in the tornado coverage to happen here over the next 3 days, which is good. Most of this is going to be winds. Windy conditions, talking wind gusts as high as 50 to 60 miles an hour. So it's going to be rainy. It's going to be rainy, yes, but it's going to be having strong winds along with them as well, which it could make for more of a mess, especially out in the roadways. The next 3 days, as we've kind of discussed, rain almost just camping out, especially in the northern end of the ArkLaTex, with maybe a few of these cells popping off on the I-20 as far south as the I-20 corridor, while there really isn't too much for the southern half of the region at all. Again, that's the next 3 days. The issue is there's more rain coming. In fact, a lot more rain coming than what's just happening over the next 3 days. So all the way through Saturday, again, most of those storms are kept in the northern end of the ArkLaTex. But once we get into Sunday, that really changes. Scattered storms then move into the southern half of the ArkLaTex during the day on Sunday. We could clear things up into the afternoon hours. This is what it looks like on our long-range future track here for you before getting another round of scattered storms popping up mainly in the southern half of the ArkLaTex here for your Monday. It looks to include the I-20 corridor and includes Shreveport and Bossier in the process as well. And then Tuesday, almost the same thing. More storms popping up that look to be scattered and widespread. So this weekend and early next week, a whole lot more greater chances and more substantial chances for storms than especially what we're having here at the end of this week. So ahead of the next 7 days, you're getting somewhere in the ballpark of 2 to 3 inches worth out of the next week. Although I will say 4 to 5 inches of rain is still possible. Now, I know what you're thinking, possibly. Well, does this mean there's flash flooding coming? Because usually when we see rain totals like this, that's what kind of prompts flash flooding. But honestly, my answer to that is mostly no, actually, because we're actually doing a good job at spreading most of these rain events over several days. It's not just going to come all pounding on one day. We have slim risks of flash flooding set up, yes, for next week, but they don't look to be massive. Again, they look to be slim chances of flash flooding. That could happen with the scattered storms maybe hitting on Sunday, but really hitting it early next week. So to kind of recap here for you, the coverage of rain here between Thursday, Friday, and I would say most of Saturday as well, looks to be very stray and very few storms just each and every day. Starting Sunday morning here for most of us, that's when the storms get a whole lot more scattered and widespread and affect everybody around the region. And that looks to be the case for next week as well. So to pinpoint the weekend here for you one more time, it is better to make outdoor plans for Saturday as compared to Sunday. Saturday, just a few brief stray showers, and most of that, again, is going to be the northern end of the ArkLaTex. I honestly think the I-20 corridor southward should be pretty much mostly dry, if not completely dry, here for Saturday. Sunday is when we really run into issues, and most of those storms, to be fair, are looking to come in the morning hours. As we kind of saw in that long-range future track, we could clear things out late in the afternoon and out for the nighttime hours as well, but not entirely guaranteed yet. Here's the 7-day forecast here for you. Again, just stray storms for the next 3 days. After that, it's, I wouldn't say a washout, but consistent rounds of rain continue to come on through. 50 and 60% chances of rain. And for storms here for your Sunday and Monday. Then into Tuesday and Wednesday, they could get a little more sporadic, but still chances of rain regardless, 6 to 7 days out. Just so you know, our 12-day forecast also soaked late next week. So this rain is going nowhere. Enjoy the dry conditions while we have them. I will say it's good news that we've cleared out most of our rain chances here, at least through Saturday, and throughout a good portion of the rest of the week here locally in Shreveport. We have slightly greater chances of rain, especially if you're up into Texarkana, and especially if you're out towards Idabel and the Queen, where we could be dealing with lots of rain over the next 3 days or so. So watch out for that. Morning lows, that's pretty much not changing. Mid-70s. As for the temperatures, they could change a little bit. Although the humidity still picking up those feels like temperatures as high as 100 degrees to maybe even 105. Starting today, and that trend continues on as far as Sunday. Monday, though, that's when I'm really expecting the main part of the cold front to hit. That'll drop our humidity, which might drop our rain chances, as you kind of see that in the Tuesday and Wednesday. But not only that, it drops our high temperatures. Highs are only in the 80s starting Monday. And for the most part, that looks to be the case here for the Tuesday and Wednesday coming up as well. All right, that was a look at your full forecast as usual. If you have any comments, questions, youtube.com. Coming up next, we're going to go over river levels. Obviously, we have more rain coming. We're going to see what our river levels are at currently. A few issues I will say on here, but thankfully, all in all, we're actually looking fairly good. But this is the reason. We wanted to check in on this and make sure everything's all fine and dandy, you know what I mean? So, we'll be back after this. Stay with us here on the First Look with a Breakdown. Welcome back to the first story with a breakdown. Again, I'm meteorologist Evan Thompson. Thanks for always staying tuned in for the exclusive content, which for today is taking a look at our river levels. Obviously, over the course of spring, it's been much of a concern of how high our river levels have gotten. It's been quite substantial, especially in some areas around the ArkLaTex here for us. Thankfully, nothing too massive, reporting of too many flash flooding issues. We did have overtopping of levees after one bad rain event. It was that rain event back in early April that flooded out most of the Texarkana streets. For those of you in Texarkana that remember that. That same storm overtopped a levee. I believe it was in Miller County in kind of the more rural spots of southwestern Arkansas. Thankfully, besides that, we haven't had too much because we haven't had a real substantial flash flooding event since then. We've had a number of street flooding issues in Shreveport, for example, with massive rainstorms that have come on through, but nothing, thankfully, that has been as bad as topping river level bad flooding, so to speak. So let's take a look at our river levels. This is brought to you by the National Weather Service. By the way, we brought them on yesterday, or CJ did, but we at KSLA News 12 talked with the National Weather Service yesterday about hurricane season. They provide us with lots of amazing tools. This is just one of them to take a look at the river levels. Just, you can access this here at home, by the way. This is not just my info, but it's just us going together over some of the river levels in the ArkLaTex. And first of all, if you're seeing green on this map, that means you're good. That means you're good in that area. Specifically, it's flood gauges is what they track onto. In those kinds of areas. So I'm going to pull my mic a little bit farther over here, and I'm going to get to my access on my other computer, which is controlling these flood gauges here for the moment. All right, so most of us are in the green, which is good, 95%. That's what we want to see. For example, ones that probably everybody will note is what's going on with the Red River down in Shreveport and Bossier. And I realize you cannot see this because my face is blocking it. Let's change that. So it's a little hard to see, but essentially, all you need to pay attention to really realistically is the shades. Minor flood zone is in this orange. You can see my mouse. This is the orange shade. When we start to reach a minor flood risk, that's when we start to have a little bit of some concerning issues. If you're below there, thankfully, you're in the clear. And guess what? This is trending downward, which means the river level is going to be substantial. I won't say substantially, but it will be falling here. Looks like it's forecasted to do so over the next several days. Now, I will say these river gauges and even these projected values coming ahead, they only accommodate usually for rain in the short term, the extreme short term. So this forecast for this river gauge only goes for the next 3 days, which makes sense. We only have sporadic rain chances here over the next 3 days with more substantial chances for storms next week and on for Sunday, where we could have our river level coming back up. But looks like our river level is kind of high. It's high in some areas. I know. I think it was one of the loading docks in Bossier was closed down, I think, because the Red River was a little high. Thankfully, again, this is going down, so hopefully, I think it has reopened since then, but it just goes to show you how important it is to sometimes check these river levels out around these areas. So, again, Red River down in Shreveport, that's looking quite fine. Let's look elsewhere. For example, one of the gauges in Texarkana. Look at the Red River just north of there. And there's some gauges like this one which don't have a forecast, but they always observe how high the river level is, which for this one in particular is well below even a concern area, essentially. So watching out for that. There's some areas out towards the Monroe DMA, just north of Monroe, that are dealing with some flooding issues. Looks like along the Ochita, I'm probably saying that wrong, river there out east of here. There's also some issues around Tyler, Texas with some river flooding, and you can essentially see that in these orange shades. Orange shades are problematic shades. Also, just when there's a light green shade around here, that means there's a flood warning in place just in case, worst case, there is any river overflowing or anything like that in those areas. But overall, for us here in the ArkLaTex, lots of greens up and near there. So I will get to this in orange shade in just a moment. East Texas, also looking pretty good throughout most areas. For example, Little Cypress Creek near Jefferson remaining level and well below actual flood stage there, which is good to see. The Big Cypress Creek near Jefferson, same thing. This is way low down, actually, which is nice to see there. Meanwhile, Sabine River starting to rise a little bit. That's why they're under a flood warning, especially getting up to some higher levels. Now, these forecasted river levels as well take into effect what is downstream. What is expected to come? What water is expected to move downstream into this area? Is it higher levels that will soon move into this area, or will it? I think you get the point. So yes, it monitors downstream conditions and essentially forecasts how the high river levels progress into the area where the flood gauge, or not the flood gauge, but where the water gauge is, to determine that flood risk. This is our one problematic area in the ArkLaTex. It is the Sulphur River near Talco. This is located in northeast Texas here, just north of Mount Pleasant. And it looks like we've gotten a good surplus of some observed rainfall. Look at this. This went from 3 feet all the way up to last observed at 20 feet. Wow, that is quite the surge in the river level there, which has prompted that minor flood stage in that area. Thankfully, this forecast is expected to drop off quite a bit. Now, again, this does not, don't take this with an asterisk, because this usually, again, does not accommodate exactly for the amount of rainfall that's going to be coming in this area, which is going to be a lot. So this could change here especially, but it's good to see, at least from upstream conditions heading into this region, that things look to be okay there for the time being. All right, so that was look at your river flood gauges. Again, just to go over one more time, everything in the ArkLaTex except for that little spot in the Sulphur River, all looking pretty good here for the time being. Hello, welcome back. All right, thanks for joining us on this edition of First Look Weather Breakdown. That's all I have for you today. Again, just sporadic rain showers over the next 3 days before, unfortunately, we have a rainy weekend. And what I mean by rainy weekend is mainly a rainy Sunday. And next week is also looking gross as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll have plenty more details on that, obviously getting closer too. But just keep an umbrella handy. There's still a pop-up shower chance here over the next couple of days for the rest of the week, regardless. That includes today. So be on the lookout for that. We'll have one more episode of First Look Weather Breakdown for the rest of the work week. Obviously, this is only a work week podcast. We got one more episode tomorrow, Friday at 10:30. It is the usual topic we go over here for tomorrow, which means we're going over the weekend forecast, all in depth, seeing how it's going, what's expected, what's moving on forward in the Friday afternoon, Friday night, and the weekend. Also, not just here in the ArkLaTex, but we also provide a travel forecast. You're traveling anywhere north, south, east, west, regionally around here. We also help give you a forecast on that to see what you can expect here. See if you need to monitor any of your plans while you are traveling away from the ArkLaTex, which, hey, I love traveling. I'll be traveling coming up in July. Looking forward to that. But anyways, back to weather standards. You stay weather aware, again, with the rain all around here in the ArkLaTex. That's it for me. You have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the second to last day of the work week. I'll see you tomorrow, 10:30. Be there, be the square. Most importantly, be weather aware. Thanks for joining us again on the First Look Weather Breakdown. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Peace.